Abortion. We must mourn for all miscarriages and all abortions. The problem with abortion is that there's a denial. Our society says it wasn't a human being. There's guilt. There's shame. It's not uncommon for a woman who's had an abortion never to speak about it, or at least not for 5, 10, 20 years. As if it didn't happen. They will grieve alone, often in total denial. Many women will say, I will never forgive myself for what I did. Maybe God can forgive me, but I cannot forgive myself. There's the suppressed guilt that contaminates their whole life. The contamination continues until they admit what they have done and finally mourn for the loss of their child. These are 2 typical cases. A woman in her 30s with 4 children became pregnant. Her husband threatened to leave her if she did not abort. In 2 years, she had 2 abortions. She cried for 2 years after that. She could not trust her husband anymore. She was depressed, medicated, unable to care for her children. Her marriage was likely to collapse. A woman wrote, she said, my teenage daughter had an abortion without telling us. 2 years later, she became more and more withdrawn, sad, and unhappy. We sent her for counseling. It didn't help. One day, she told us about it, and she cut out a picture of a beautiful baby that she liked, and we had a burial ceremony for this child. But our daughter is always sad, and we don't know what to do, she writes. The consequences of an abortion: after a woman has had an abortion, her abortion becomes the most difficult event in her life. It can lead to psychosis, not just neurosis, but psychosis, severe depression, and self-destructive behavior. Research shows that most women suffer from 1 or more of the following symptoms after an abortion: persistent mourning, chronic self-blame, depression during birthdays, psychosomatic diseases, drug, alcohol abuse, suicide attempts, and psychosis. Most, 90%, suffer from feelings of guilt and loss. And often at the anniversary of an abortion, feelings of remorse and regret become invasive. Suicide Anonymous, among 4,000 women, discovered that 45% of them had had an abortion. The vast majority of adolescents who've had an abortion have made their decision as a result of panic when learning of their pregnancy. There are signs of an unhealthy secret. It's not good to keep secrets, unhealthy secrets. It festers in you. You have to release it, tell it to somebody. A professional skier who often drank heavily had a recurring nightmare. She saw a large tree full of branches, and on the branches were dozens of fetuses without arms or legs. Now, she had had 5 abortions. Many other women have the recurring dream of a child they cannot reach. The child cries or is in need, but is very far out of their reach. They have nightmares, fantasies, memories that arise spontaneously. They have flashbacks. Now, adolescents who've had an abortion are 6 times more likely to commit suicide than girls who never had one. To distract from inner pain, many women throw themselves into their work. They become very busy doing many things to forget their troubles, and alcohol, relax. They take Valium, anything to numb the pain, to stop thinking about how they feel. They are building a wall to insulate them and reduce interaction with life. The things that normally bring joy to a woman no longer do. Motherhood, children, spouse. They have set themselves apart. They are isolated. They feel increasingly depressed. And on the anniversary of the abortion, they go through a depression. Every year, she suffers on the expected birthday of the aborted child. She complains of general depression symptoms, and a lack of happiness. Sometimes physical symptoms are caused by abortion: low blood pressure, worsening PMS, dizziness, cervical cyst, low blood sugar, severe early menopause, severe allergies. The supplicant openly declares, "I will never forgive myself for this abortion."